Hi, Leo. All right. Yeah, I've got a face, but let me say the spiel. Welcome to my channel, Joy to the World. I'm your reader, Melissa Joy, and if you want, I'm on a stool that spins. That's how I keep myself occupied. So I'm here at home because once I got them started here, it's just easier to stay with tea leaves when I'm at a table. And you're at a table. It might not be the table or the feast that you've been wanting, but I would dare say it is. It's where the new beginning comes. There's so many of your readings that there's a prominent force popping in, whether it's you or you know, some other Leo showing up that's like, where's my lover? When am I going to find my lover? I want love. I want a physical lover. I love physical love. It makes life all better. I know it's here for me. I know it's promised for me. Ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. It's almost like pushing and pushing and pushing until you pop the balloon. As opposed to enjoying the balloon, where you pluck all the petals off. They love me not. They love me not. Instead of taking the flowers and putting them in a vase and enjoying them. Or leaving them on the ground or in the garden outside and taking a seat and breathing it in and feeling the sunshine. Life became one dimension, friend, and there's a reason. Because as I was shuffling the tea leaves, they split out on the floor and said, you've been separated from yourself for a very long time. There was heartache. There was hardship. And that's a big measure. It's a big measure to be accounted for. It's kind of like when you count the money at the end of the night, they need to add up, right? But there's been this divide, this separation. So it says heartache over what you no longer have. And then woman, dealings or relationship with a woman. What you no longer have. For some of you, you may have lost your beauty. You may have lost your verve. You may have lost your period. You may have gone through a shift, like, you know, something extraordinary like what I did, where all of a sudden I go from this vibrant, active, red-haired, juicy, delicious, divine person to somebody's half dead rolling around the grave, you know, with like little fuzz on top like a baby bird and struck with all this gray hair and learn to walk again and all that craziness, you know. It's those things that took us by surprise, that take us back, that we were like, I didn't know life was going to be like this. I didn't know people actually thought that way. I can't believe somebody would treat another person that way, me or anyone. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So it's been like a big, nasty, rude awakening. What's beautiful here is that's not your heart, that is a tomato. So tomato, tomato, meaning there aren't lessons or things to be learned from that, one side or the other. The both will always exist, and never the twain shall meet, because they always compete. So look for where they complete. God, that is so weird. While it's going, I'm going, shut up. No, stop. But you know what? It's pertinent, it's relevant, it's extremely to the point. As long as they compete, they're never the twain shall meet. But when they look to complete and to complement each other, we realize we have the full spectrum, that we can live the full life, that we can see the bloom, we can enjoy the flowers, we can long for love and communicate with ourself and our spirit the desires and the vision that we're calling forth and calling forward. But instead of sitting there in an old Piscean energy and a bit of Leo energy, which can be, well, my way or the highway. If I can't have what I want, it just all needs to end here. That type of a thing. And absolution. Some of you, that could be, watch a Taurus video about that. Let's find out about this woman and this spear. We have the Nine of Swords for the woman. It's a messenger. You've been getting different messages. It's like not being totally sure of your value and who you are. There's a bit of a distance there, because seeing yourself in many instances, you're still treated as a child, where you're a full-blown adult. And you want the rewards and the rights of being an adult, but somehow life keeps spinning back to a childhood where you keep having to submit and come under the authority of others, or you don't have enough money to provide for yourself, or maybe you kept thinking you were going to have the dream job and here you are just going sideways, right? The person who runs and picks up the coffee. Some of you may want to check out Libra, because that spear and that heartache over what you no longer have, there's been a strong sense of survivorship and protectorship going on with this, but it has caused your ship to go out of balance and to just be floating around. It's just like in a holding pattern, you know, when they come to an airport and there isn't clearance for them to land yet, they just have to keep making a holding pattern, ringing around until it's called for their turn. But you're the one who makes the call here. You're the one who decides, and it's wild because this has turned to where you see how her maniacal eye is like turning this and shooting it into the heart. So maybe you haven't forgiven yourself. And maybe not, maybe it was like my case where it wasn't just direct decisions I made. Those didn't have the harm. It was buried in that. Like that person that I married is the one who beat my son half to death, who then took on that whole other scenario of life going on for me where he has been struggling and suffering. It caused great struggling and suffering for me and just grief in my heart for my son having to go through that, right? So it was one of those strange little sticky, tricky little situations, right, Leo? So this thing that you're dealing with is a little bit tricky and like not knowing where it's coming from. It feels very authentic, very real. It feels very rooted and grounded in who you are. So I need to get a couple more cards. But there's life on the inside. There's just a need to stretch out a bit. But as you know, when you stretch out, that cosmic egg is going to break. You're going to hatch, and then you're going to start living again. And Fran, I want to tell you, when you wake up, you go smell that fresh coffee. Whether it's made by a lover or whether it's made by you loving yourself. Love or love yourself. Love or love yourself. Because if it's too hard or not worth it from you, for you, then is it either something you truly desire? Or are you wanting somebody to help lift your burdens? Do you see what I mean? So as we really start going into it and seeing the difference between the child and the adult and letting them come together and merge so that we're whole, that we don't have to fight these battles anymore, that we can cast our visions, focus on our desires and our vision of how we see life. This card's been swimming around this week in this strength and victory time. Ways above the world, because what the world promises isn't enough for you. It would never satisfy. That's why you've been out floating in this cosmic realm, not quite knowing what to do, but it's like expanding your breath so that these stretch out and they balance themselves out and the 8 prongs perfectly around it, like the captain's ship, like the Wheel of Fortune, like these sections and segments of life that we go through. All right. Well, sometimes it's nice to leave it hanging with more questions than answers, because questions lead to quests. And when we lead to quests, they become extremely personal and relevant to who we are. This is me wishing you well, Leo. And I love that you brought this through to bring it up and out and clear your space so that you can move into this new horizon. You might want to check out Gemini, because there was a bit about that clearing the space. So maybe it holds a deeper key and meaning for you. Do me a favor before you go and tap that like button. Also, I look forward to chatting with you in the comments down below. Love you. Bye, Leo.